Well, would you look at that? A hotfix, and a pretty good one at that. So let's check it out, shall we? So first of all, I was very much correct in my prediction because they did indeed cap Stianax's overguard to 15,000, though it is modifiable with power strength. I think it was pretty obvious that this was gonna happen because Kullervo, you know, the overguard frame had cap on its overguard and Stianax didn't. They also capped it for Frost's Icy Avalanche, which previously wasn't that big of a deal because you weren't getting that much overguard to begin with, but this update also introduced a nice buff to Frost's Icy Avalanche where the overguard you get from each cast finally stacks, which is huge because previously you would on average get between 2,000 to 3,000 overguard and that was it, whereas now you can easily build 10, 20, even 30,000 if you have enough power strength to push the cap that high. Next up, we have some really cool Incarnon changes. First up, we have the Angstrom, which now builds Incarnon charge from direct hits instead of headshots, and its Incarnon shots are faster with better tracking, and they added a few more bounces to them as well. And finally, they also buffed its final lines of evolution, so Critical Parallel just gives you a little bit more crit, Survivor's Edge gives you more crit and status, and Fatal Affliction remains unchanged. This is a really nice buff to the Angstrom. First of all, it makes it much nicer to use because getting headshots with an explosive weapon that doesn't have good accuracy felt pretty bad, and it makes the Incarnon mode stronger as well, which is very nice because it was already pretty good. Next up, we have the Gamma Core, which now builds the Incarnon charge twice as fast on a headshot, which is lovely, and they also increased the damage of the Incarnon explosion. It went from 620 to 660 on the normal Gamma Core, and from 760 to 800 on the Sinoid version. Also, just like with the Angstrom, they buffed the final lines of its evolution, so Critical Parallel gives more crit, Survivor's Edge gives more crit and status, and Elemental Balance gives more status. Now, while the extra explosion damage is definitely nice and the extra evolution buffs are cool too, the biggest buff here by far is the faster Incarnon build-up, because the build-up on this used to be painfully slow. So again, very nice buff. Not only do you build Incarnon mode faster, but it's also stronger. Very good. Next on the menu, we have Le Gorgon, where they removed the charge up from the Incarnon mode completely, and they also shortened the fuse on the explosion. So you don't have to charge it up, and it goes off faster. This was one of my least favorite Incarnons by a long shot. It just didn't feel good, the damage wasn't great, but now with these changes, it's actually quite nice. One thing that I think is kind of cool is that the delay before the explosion is based on which version of the Gorgon you're using, with the base Gorgon having the longest fuse, Raid sitting somewhere in the middle, and the Prisma Gorgon having the shortest fuse. I just think that's kind of neat. This change I think has the biggest impact because prior to this I didn't even want to use the Prisma Gorgon or any other Gorgon in the Incarnon mode, but now it's actually quite nice. And finally we have the Boar with a bit of a change to how Elemental Balance works. So previously this would spread the status across all projectiles, whereas now it gives it to every projectile. So overall a very nice set of buffs with a bit of a nerf to Stianax, but it's honestly not that bad. I talked about this in the Stianax video that I did, but having less overguard isn't necessarily that much worse, because overguard isn't affected by most things, so once you get into high enough levels, it's gonna get nuked no matter how much you have. What matters is how fast and how reliably you can build it, since they added gating to overguard as well. So you're good as long as you can consistently build some amount of overguard, which with Stianax you very much can. And that is pretty much it for the video, so I thank you very much for watching. As always guys, I hope you've enjoyed the video and found it helpful. I would like to extend a special thank you to all the channel members. Thank you very much guys, I really appreciate your support, and if you would like to become a channel member as well, you can check out the memberships and stuff down below. And I'll see you next time. Bye bye.